When you are purchasing an upland property that is listed at the floor price of a city, you are buying the cheapest property that is being listed at that exact moment. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should not be buying that property. I am not a financial advisor, and this should not be seen as financial advice. I'm YK2012, founder of the Upland Guide. On this channel, you can learn everything you need to know about the Upland Metaverse, tutorials, strategy, tips, tricks, and a lot more. Please hit that subscribe button and tell your friends. Now, these 5 reasons remain true whether you're buying the property for the floor price in US dollars or for UPX. However, there is a strategy where players like to buy the floor price in US dollars and sell them for a nice markup in UPX. This essentially gives them more UPX for each dollar compared to if they were to buy that UPX directly from the Upland store. That strategy may work well if there is a large gap between the US dollar listing price and the UPX listing price for a property of similar characteristics. Having said that, let's get into those 5 reasons. Reason number 1, when you're buying a property at the cheapest price, it's probably one of the least valuable properties that you can buy. There likely isn't anything really special about it, and that's why it's being sold for such a low price. Yes, it's true that you earn UPX passively just by owning properties, but there are other properties that you could own as well, and you don't necessarily need to purchase the cheapest one that's on the market. Number 2, what's the opportunity cost of you purchasing that property? If you decide to buy the cheapest property in, let's say, Detroit for somewhere around 4,500 UPX, the question is, what are you missing out on, and how could you use that UPX in a better way? Maybe there's going to be a new city release coming up, and using that 4,500 UPX to mint a property in that new city might provide you with better opportunities than buying the cheapest property in Detroit. Once again, that property in Detroit is probably one of the least valuable ones in that city, but with that 4,500 UPX, you never know what you might be able to get in that new city release. Number 3, chances are, if you're looking to buy the floor price, you're probably just looking at the numbers. And if we're going to talk about numbers, let's talk about ROI, the return on the investment in purchasing that property. We know that if you mint a property, as of August of 2023, you get a 14.7% yield on that property. That means that if you buy that property, it's going to take you 6.8 years in order to recover that initial cost. Now, if you're able to place that property in a collection, or if you're able to buy it for less than mint, then obviously that return on investment will decrease. And maybe you're looking at that property and saying, you know, this is a good deal. It's not a garbage property. There is some value in this. I see it. And maybe, as I mentioned before about the opportunity cost, you see this as a great opportunity compared to using that UPX somewhere else. It's important to note that that yield, which is currently, as of August 2023, 14.7%, we can expect that to decrease in the future. As the markets fluctuate and as more features enter where players are able to earn revenue from several different streams, this, in my opinion, will make it less attractive to own properties just for the yield, and you will want to earn them for other reasons. If and when this happens, I believe that we can start to see the floor price decrease. That means that the properties that probably don't hold much value to begin with are going to lose more value because the return on that investment is going to increase. Number 4, I talked a little bit about the value of the property itself. Aside from the calculations that we can make, and you can calculate the amount of UPX that you will be earning from that property, what intrinsic value does it have? Is it part of a growing community? Is it in close proximity to a point of interest within the Upland Metaverse, or maybe within the real world? Does it have some sort of sentimental value to you? How do you plan on utilizing that property aside from just earning yields? These are all things that I like to ask myself when I look at purchasing properties on the secondary market, and even when I look at minting them. Now, obviously, when I'm looking to mint properties, other people are as well, so you really have to do your research beforehand and have a number of different strategies and a number of areas that you look to target when you decide of where you want to mint your properties. When looking at properties listed at the floor prices, I find it very difficult to justify, at least for myself, the purchasing of those properties because I am unable to answer any of these questions that I just mentioned for those properties. And this brings me to number 5. Upland will continue to open new cities, meaning more properties of value, but also more properties that don't hold a lot of value. And if there's nothing that really distinguishes your property from anything else, whether it be being part of a node or a community, proximity, and all of the questions that I mentioned before, The only thing you really have going for you is the yields, and that also might drop out in the future. So all of this is just leading to a race to the bottom. And that means that you are going to be in competition and undercutting people again and again and again, trying to get just any amount of money for that property. For people looking to sell properties for US dollars, it's also important to note that there is an artificial floor that Upland has set that nobody can sell a property for any less than $3. You can find an abundance of those properties all across the metaverse. And if you're buying the floor, you're going to have to ask yourself, how can you provide value to that property to really increase it in several orders of magnitude to the point where you're not going to be stuck selling it for break even or maybe just a little bit more than you bought it for. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the topic. If you buy the floor, let me know what the best part of it is and if you've actually found any good deals.